Alrighty, y'all, what's going on? After, I don't know, like 3 weeks of recording with this DJI camera, I finally found a working mic. I spent so much time. Like, I started with a Sony lav mic. I tried 20 different 3.5 to USB-C converters, and nothing ever worked. So I finally just nutted up and I bought a DJI wireless mic. This is my first time riding with it. I did some sound tests in my house. It sounded pretty nice, and lo and behold, buying it off of Target's website with shipping literally as fast as Amazon, like next day shipping to my house, was $5 cheaper than buying the DJI Mic 1 on Amazon. So that was kind of cool. Worked out for me. It was also $10 cheaper than any microphone and USB converter that I tried. So that was super annoying, but now I have something that hopefully works. Hopefully you could hear me. Hopefully you could hear the bike. I guess if you're seeing this video, that means you can hear me enough for me to want to post it. Going out today, I'm meeting my family at the gym right now. We've got swim lessons for our kids that we're going out to. It's kind of a crappy day, a little cloudy, a little rainy. I was hitting a few raindrops leaving the neighborhood, but no big deal. We're not scared of a little bit of rain. So I wanted to make this video just to kind of go over. I've had a handful of comments of people who have noticed that my older videos, my original videos were with a Honda Shadow 750, which was my first motorcycle. Bought it before, like a month before I even did my MSF course. Never ridden a motorcycle before, and I decided to jump right into a Shadow, which, you know, you could tell if, you know, you've ridden motorcycles before. The Shadow 750 is not that it's like powerful or anything. It was a really slow bike, but man, that thing was heavy. It was hard to control. There was no ABS. Just kind of a, you know, uncomfortable bike to ride as a first timer. You didn't really feel too comfortable on it. After my MSF, it took me like another month before I even started regularly riding it beyond like a quarter mile from my neighborhood. So that was not the best experience. So as I was saying, had a few comments of folks who noticed I used to have a Kawasaki Z500. I upload tons of Z500 videos to my channel. About a year ago is when I stopped. So the situation with that, I had bought, as I mentioned, I bought my Honda Shadow, I think at this point 3 years ago. Rode the Shadow for my first riding season sparingly, because it was not that it was physically uncomfortable, but it was just so bulky and heavy, and I just did not have that much fun as a new rider, you know, having close calls and having to move you know, such a heavy bike with such a odd steering angle and stuff. It just wasn't pleasant. So I started tossing around some ideas. I spent all my money on that Shadow, but I really hated it. I wanted to go trade it in and get a new motorcycle. But when I took it to the dealership that I bought it from to trade it in, first time around, they absolutely fleeced me. I have no clue, you know, anything about the motorcycle market. I have no clue what used bikes are worth. I have no clue the value. Before they threw on their dealership scam add-on packages, I spent $7,000 freaking dollars on a used 10,000 mile 2022, but 10,000 mile Honda Shadow 750 with an oil leak from the dealership that they claimed did not exist. Super scummy. So took the bike in to try and trade it off. They offered me like $2,000, $2,500 for it, and I was like, yeah, that's a little ridiculous, you know, because they also hit me with dealership add-ons, you know, the maintenance warranty package crap, but it doesn't cover regular maintenance. It's only big name maintenance, and it was just junk, dude. It was junk. So out the door, I'm like $10K on this stupid Shadow that I didn't even like riding. When I did my MSF course, I rode a CB300 naked bike. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time on that bike. And it kind of was a slight throwback to purchasing my bike as well, the Honda Shadow. So when I went to buy that bike, the salesman, obviously trying to upsell me on, oh, get a new bike, get this, get that. He recommended a CF Moto 800 NK naked bike, because I went in there originally looking at like a CF Moto 450 or something like that, you know, the CF Moto super sport style bike. Now mind you, I am a large guy. I'm 6'5" on a good day, 6'4" at my worst. I'm tall. I'm really tall. We'll say 6'5". At that time, I probably weighed 270 pounds. Also a very heavy guy. So it's like, yeah, you throw me on like a low-level super sport, or at least I thought, there's no way I'm gonna fit. You know, this bike's not gonna be any fun. This is gonna suck. If I could even get my feet to the pegs comfortably. So, you know, they were pushing me away from the CF Moto 300 and the 450. They were like, look, what I'd recommend, the CF Moto 800 naked, which, you know, by now, if you can't tell, the dealership is clearly, you know, affiliated heavily with CF Moto, considering that's all they friggin' push. So I was like, you know, naked bikes are not my thing. I really want a super sport, so they said, oh, get a 636. And then I looked at the price tag. I'm like, oh, $12,000? Hell no, dude. I don't have $12,000 to spend on my first motorcycle. So I saw the Shadow. I've always been into big, you know, I've been into choppers, I've been into cruisers, stuff like that. And they had a Phantom Edition that was right in my price range, so it was blacked out. The owner before me put saddlebags on it, and they did handlebar risers, which made it way more comfortable for me, being, you know, the height that I am. So it was kind of a no-brainer, I thought, at the time to buy that bike. But, excuse me, as I'm sitting on this Honda Shadow, literally right next to it was a CBR 500R, which I guess would be the middleweight Honda Sport starter bike. Not a super sport, looks like a super sport, close enough. It was the same price as the Shadow, it was lower mileage, it was the body style that I liked. You know, everything about it was pretty nice except the color. The fairings were so damn ugly. It was gray, black, and like highlighter yellow. It looked disgusting, dude. So that was already a turnoff for me. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know, maybe I should just do it. You can always replace fairings. That's not hard to do. But my father-in-law was kind of pushing me against getting a sport bike or a super sport because he always rode an R6. And he said, dude, you're going to be so uncomfortable, especially at your size. So I just took his word for it. Even though when I was sitting and test fitting the CBR 500, it was great. Anyway, bought the Shadow, super unhappy with it. So fast forward to the second riding season. I was sick of the Shadow. I took it out on maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks of the, the riding season. I had one really bad close call where I'm just cruising on a road like this, and then a dump truck just, was flying around the corner. Just came out right in front of me. I had to slam front and back brakes on the Shadow, which, I did mention that bike did not have ABS. A lot of my cars that I've driven also do not have ABS. That's not like a foreign concept to me. So I know you cannot just grip and slam the brakes, which, even when panicked, I was still pulsing them as much as I could, within the 2 millisecond window I really had. But dude, like, bike back tire kicked out sideways. I was doing a damn drift in the middle of the road. Dump truck just kept going. It was such a train wreck, dude. There were people, like, I think two of the witnesses to it. There was no actual accident, but 2 people who witnessed it chased the truck because he just kept going down the road. They chased that truck down, cornered him with their trucks, pickup trucks, and they stopped him, and they were like, you almost killed that kid, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. That was just not fun. And then a couple other standard close calls. So I said to myself, gotta ditch the Shadow, but I'm in over my head on money. I can't trade it in, or else I'm just going to be so far in the negative on this bike. I got to keep it for at least a few years, maybe until I get more comfortable on a standard bike. So went back to the dealership about an hour before close, talked them into doing a Z500 for about $4,200, $4,500 out the door. Which I think those, at the time, MSRP on the Z500 was like $5,800 something, so I kind of felt like I stole that from them. But I did have to get it on a loan because I had no money left. All that being said, I rode the Z500 for about a year. I loved every bit of it, but payments weren't that bad. It was like $130 a month, something. Insurance killed me. It was like $90 a month, which I thought was crazy because my Shadow insurance, I paid full coverage insurance on my Shadow with great deductibles, and it was $18 a month, which, whatever. So, executive decision was made to sell the Z500, and although it was on a loan, thankfully, since I fleeced the dealership, I was able to put like 2,000-3,000 miles on it, sell it for adjusted market value, and I literally 100% broke even on that bike. We're pulling up to my destination here, so we'll make a long story short. And I rode the Shadow for most of this riding season, most of the beginning of this riding season in the year 2026. And again, I'm comfortable on a bike now, so I did not mind. I did not mind the weight and everything. I was totally fine with it. But, it tops out at like 70 on the highway, and it's screaming the whole time. It just still was not fun. Still the same big cruiser issues. It's not a very nimble bike. I didn't feel like I could maneuver well. So, traded in the Shadow essentially did a straight trade because somehow trade-in value on that bike went up to about $5,000. Canceled my insurance or maintenance package junk, got refunded for that, did a straight trade on the Shadow, and I hopped on this. Let me take off my camera here. Hopped onto this, hopefully you can see it, 2026 Yamaha R3. I fit perfectly on this bike. Everybody who was doubting me, saying, you know, you'll never be able to fit on a super sport style bike, you know, whether you want to call this a super sport or not, doesn't matter to me. It is what it is. I fit great. I ride great. I cruise at like 85, 90 all day, every day. I've hit 105 on this bike, GPS monitored. So yeah, this is where I am. And now, riding an R3, all I can think of is how bad I want an R9 or an R1. So, we'll see. Thank you for coming to my first, I don't know, moto vlog, I guess. And y'all have a great day. Peace.